Why the longer a man is single, the more. Stoicism. Stoic love. Welcome to the Noble Man, where love and wisdom intersect. Let me ask you this. Have you ever experienced that quiet, almost unsettling silence when you're completely alone? No distractions, no background noise, just you and your thoughts. For many, this silence is uncomfortable. It's a void they're desperate to fill, and so they jump from relationship to relationship, afraid of what they might discover within themselves. They hold on to someone, anyone, just to avoid facing the truth in their own hearts. But here's the secret. The man who can embrace solitude becomes unstoppable. In the stillness, something transformative occurs. All the external noise fades away, the pressure to impress, to seek validation, to prove yourself to others, and in its place, clarity, strength, and control. The longer a man walks alone, not out of bitterness but by choice, the more powerful he becomes. His mind sharpens, his standards rise, his focus intensifies. This journey isn't about rejecting love, it's about rejecting weakness. It's about mastering yourself so that when you do allow someone into your life, it's not because you need them, but because you've chosen them from a place of power. As Marcus Aurelius once said, the soul becomes dyed with the colour of its thoughts. Solitude gives you the opportunity to cleanse and strengthen your soul, making you unshakable. Today, let's explore why solitude is not something to fear, but the gateway to becoming the strongest version of yourself. Number 1. Breaking free from approval. Seeking the power of Stoic self-respect. Too many men live their lives chasing approval. They shape their words to avoid judgment, mask their true thoughts to keep the peace, and bend their standards, all in the desperate hope of fitting in and being accepted. They find themselves texting back faster than necessary just to seem interested, agreeing to things they don't believe in to avoid conflict, or saying yes when their instincts scream no. The fear of being disliked, ignored, or forgotten keeps them trapped in this cycle of seeking validation. But here's the truth. A man who embraces solitude and Stoic wisdom breaks free from this trap. He no longer wakes up wondering, am I good enough? Instead, he wakes up asking himself, do I respect myself? This shift in mindset, from chasing approval to building self-respect, changes everything. As the philosopher Epictetus wisely said, no man is free who is not master of himself. When you stop seeking external validation, you begin to command it. You no longer feel the need to prove your worth to others, and as a result, people start noticing you without effort. Instead of asking, am I liked? You begin to ask, am I proud of the man I'm becoming? This is where the paradox lies. The less you chase approval, the more it naturally finds you. Women sense this. They can feel when a man is grounded, when he's calm, composed, and in control, not because he's trying to impress anyone, but because he's focused on something far greater, himself. And that kind of presence is magnetic. It's the presence that says, I know who I am, and I am not here to seek your approval. The problem is that many men are desperate to be chosen. They jump through hoops, soften their words, and shrink their standards, all in the hope that someone will pick them. But a man who values himself doesn't lower his voice to fit in or trade his standards just to gain acceptance. He stands firm in his values, and that quiet, unshakable confidence makes others pay attention. His calmness, his sense of self-worth, attracts people because it's genuine and unwavering. When you stop chasing, you become the man who is chosen. When you stop explaining yourself, you become the man who is respected. And when you no longer need others to like you, you become the man who is admired. It's not about arrogance or ego. It's about a quiet belief in your own worth, a belief that comes from within and doesn't require validation from others. This is the kind of power that is magnetic and unshakable. It's the power of self-respect and self-mastery, and it's what truly makes you stand out. As you begin to embrace this principle in your own life, ask yourself this: What kind of man am I becoming? And don't just focus on external validation. Cultivate inner strength, self-respect, and the kind of quiet confidence that speaks louder than any external praise. Trust me, when you make this shift, the world will start noticing you for all the right reasons. If you agree, share your thoughts in the comments below. How are you building self-respect? And how has it changed your life? Number 2, raising your standards with confidence. When a man stops seeking validation from others, a remarkable transformation occurs. He begins to see the world with clarity and confidence, shedding the desperate need to be liked or accepted. No longer does he bend, shrink, or compromise to keep people around. Instead, he stands firm in his own self-respect. This shift in mindset leads him to raise his standards, not out of arrogance, but out of a deep understanding of his own worth. He stops tolerating the energy-draining relationships, the friends who take more than they give, the people who only show up when they need something, and the connections that leave him feeling empty. He begins to see these situations for what they truly are, distractions that do nothing but clutter his life, and he refuses to let them interfere with his peace anymore. This change also applies to his relationships with women. He no longer chases after women who add no real value to his life, those who play games, those who demand proof of his worth while offering nothing in return. He stops wasting his precious time on shallow connections because he knows that his time is far too valuable to spend on anything that doesn't help him grow. With this newfound understanding, he becomes deliberate, selective, and powerful in his choices. He no longer settles for mediocrity because he knows what he wants, and more importantly, what he won't tolerate. This shift in mindset doesn't just change the way he interacts with others, it fundamentally changes his presence in the world. When a man has clear standards, when he values himself enough to walk away from relationships that don't align with his values, he becomes a force to be reckoned with. He no longer argues, begs, or plays games to gain approval. If a woman starts pulling away, he doesn't chase. If someone disrespects him, he doesn't explain himself. He moves on, calm and composed, not with anger or bitterness, but with quiet indifference, knowing that his worth is not up for debate. This level of self-assurance, rooted in the Stoic principles of self-control and wisdom, makes him powerful. When you embrace this mindset, your entire life shifts in a direction of strength, clarity, and purpose. Comment to remember: I raise my standards with confidence and stand firm in my self-worth. This affirmation reinforces the powerful message of self-respect, clarity, and the strength that comes from raising your standards. Number 3, mastering emotional strength, the Stoic path to true power. Most men buckle under pressure. They act impulsively, letting anger control their words, fear shape their choices, and loneliness dictate their relationships. They become slaves to their emotions, reacting to every situation as though their life depends on it. But why is this? It's because they haven't learned the most powerful skill a man can possess: emotional control. A man who has mastered solitude stands in stark contrast to the average man. He has confronted his darkest thoughts head-on, wrestled with his demons, and emerged victorious. This is the man who no longer reacts from a place of emotional instability. Instead, he is driven by something deeper, a strength that cannot be shaken. When provoked, he doesn't flinch. When a woman pulls away, he doesn't beg. When chaos strikes, he remains calm. His strength doesn't come from external validation or approval, it comes from within. This is a man who knows himself, his worth, and his power. He doesn't need anyone's permission to stand tall. He doesn't need to fill the silence with distractions, nor does he seek comfort in fleeting relationships. He understands that the silence is not his enemy, it's his greatest ally. The man who embraces solitude grows stronger because he isn't afraid of confronting the broken parts of himself. He's already faced them. Why is this strength so rare? Most men never reach it, not because they lack potential, but because they shy away from the discomfort of being alone long enough to build it. They bury their fears under layers of distractions, drowning their insecurities in relationships and never facing the silence. But the man who sits alone, who uses that time to grow, becomes a force to be reckoned with. When you master emotional strength, you become unshakable. People can sense it. Women can sense it. They feel the quiet power of a man who isn't swayed by moods or mind games. A man who doesn't chase. A man who doesn't beg. A man who doesn't need anything from anyone because he is already whole. The power lies in your ability to remain calm, to think before reacting, to pause and choose your response wisely. As Marcus Aurelius once said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. When you control your thoughts, you control your life. And when you control your life, the world can't help but respect you." Let's be clear, emotional strength is the foundation of true power. So ask yourself, are you ready to stop reacting and start commanding respect from within? If you're ready to embrace the strength that comes from stillness, then comment below. I am the master of my emotions. Remember, the path to true power starts with mastering yourself. If you agree, hit that like button, subscribe for more wisdom, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Number 4. Unlocking laser-sharp focus. In today's world, distractions are everywhere. Most men find their minds constantly bouncing from one craving to the next, scrolling through social media, seeking validation, engaging in endless, shallow conversations that lead nowhere. It's not that they want to be distracted, but they've forgotten the clarity that comes with focus. The constant noise dims their mental strength and erodes their sense of purpose. However, there is a different path. The man who steps away from this chaos, the man who embraces solitude, is the one who begins to transform. In the stillness, he finds the clarity he's been seeking all along. When a man stops wasting energy on hollow relationships and no longer pours time into meaningless connections, his mind sharpens with the precision of a blade. The fog lifts and his thoughts become laser-focused. His priorities fall into sharp relief, and the noise of the world no longer distracts him from his goals. No longer does he ask, "What should I do?" He knows exactly what matters: his mission, his growth, his purpose. While others scroll aimlessly, he builds. While others chase fleeting moments of attention, he hones his skills. While others waste their days in distraction, he stacks wins, one after another, laying the foundation of a life marked by power, discipline, and fulfillment. Remember, as Marcus Aurelius wisely said, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be one. Embrace solitude, embrace focus, and in the silence, you will find your path to greatness. What do you think? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe for more wisdom. Comment to remember, in solitude, I find my focus and purpose. Number 5. Choosing relationships on your terms. Too many men don't truly choose their relationships. They fall into them, driven by fear and a deep desire to avoid being alone. They settle, not because they truly believe in the connection, but because they're afraid of rejection, afraid of never finding someone better, and ultimately, afraid of their own loneliness. This fear weakens them. It leads them to tolerate disrespect, to accept less than they deserve, and to compromise their values just to avoid the discomfort of being single. They silence their true selves just to keep the peace and to feel accepted. But this path doesn't lead to fulfillment. It leads to dissatisfaction and regret. The man who has learned to embrace solitude is different. He is not running away from loneliness. He has learned to thrive in it. He has mastered his emotions, and his inner world is strong and unshaken. He doesn't chase after relationships. Instead, he chooses them with intention, carefully, and on his own terms. The key here is that he's not looking for someone to complete him. He is already whole. This man understands the power of Stoic wisdom, the understanding that happiness comes from within, not from external sources. He knows that real strength lies in his ability to remain calm and steady, regardless of external circumstances. By embracing his solitude, he elevates his standards, and when he finally chooses a partner, It is not out of desperation or fear, it is a conscious, empowered choice. So, if you are that man, don't settle. Understand that your peace, your self-worth, and your sense of fulfillment come from you, not from someone else. In the end, the relationships you create will be based on mutual respect and a shared sense of strength, not on fear or the need to escape loneliness. Number 6. The power of self-discipline. Gentlemen, one of the most potent forces that will shape your life is self-discipline. It is what separates those who simply exist from those who truly live, who rise above mediocrity and carve out a life of purpose. Self-discipline is not about pushing yourself into endless, exhausting routines. It's about aligning your actions with your values, mission, and purpose. The key is not force, but focus. A man who masters his habits is a man who builds an unshakable foundation for personal growth. Think about this. A man with self-discipline is not wasting time on fleeting pleasures. He doesn't chase empty moments, doesn't get sidetracked by distractions that compromise his growth. Every action, every decision he makes is intentional. Every day is an opportunity for refinement, a chance to become stronger, sharper, and more aligned with the life he has chosen to live. He chooses with purpose, not out of convenience, but out of clarity. Self-discipline does not equate to rigid control or a life devoid of enjoyment. It's not about turning yourself into a robot, but about mastering the art of delayed gratification. It's about saying no to the easy, the instant, because you understand that the rewards of consistency, perseverance, and long-term focus are far greater. Like Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This is where most men falter. They cannot resist the urge for immediate pleasure. They succumb to the noise, the distractions that flood the modern world. But a man with self-discipline sees these distractions for what they are, temporary and meaningless. His focus is razor-sharp. He knows that in the silence of his decision-making, in his ability to stay on track despite the noise, his true strength is forged. This is why you will see the disciplined man stand tall, not because he has mastered the world around him, but because he has mastered himself. When you cultivate self-discipline, people begin to notice. Not because you're flaunting it, but because it's evident in the way you carry yourself. You don't have to speak much. Your actions do all the talking. You rise above the chaos and the shallow distractions, moving through life with a sense of purpose that is undeniable. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus wisely put it, no man is free who is not master of himself. And here's the beauty of it. The man who practices self-discipline is not just about saying no to bad habits. It's about saying yes to what truly matters. It's the ability to choose what will bring lasting fulfillment over what feels good in the moment. When you begin to exercise this discipline, you become more powerful. It's not about what you've gained, but about what you've learned to resist, what you've learned to move beyond. And that is your true power. Self-discipline is your superpower. It's the quiet strength that allows you to endure, to persevere, to rise above when others falter. It's the muscle that lets you stay on course when everything else urges you to take shortcuts. It's the foundation upon which you will build greatness, and it will stand firm even in the hardest of storms. So I ask you, are you ready to take control of your life and choose discipline over distraction? If you are, I want you to comment below. I am in control. Let the world see the power of your actions. Now, go ahead and share this with a friend who needs to hear this message. Like and subscribe for more insights. Stay strong, stay focused, and let's elevate together. Hey everyone, thanks for joining us at The Nobleman today. Here's the truth. The longer a man is single, the more powerful he becomes. Not because he's avoiding relationships, but because he's mastering himself. A man who embraces solitude, who invests in his own growth, becomes someone no one can break. He walks through life unshaken, never needing approval because he already commands his own respect. Solitude isn't about loneliness, it's about strength, clarity, and purpose. So the next time you find yourself alone, use that time to reflect, grow, and prepare yourself for the greatness that's waiting for you. Stay strong, stay grounded, keep cultivating your inner strength. We'd love to hear your thoughts or suggestions for future topics, so drop a comment below. See you in the next video.